Fellow tile posse. This is Joshua here with Tierra Tile. I talked previously about taking this design and showing you guys how I'm going to cut it into a 18-inch mural. This is my original drawing that I showed the customer, and he approved it. He just wants me to reverse it so the fishes go in the other direction. So that's easy enough to do when I trace it. And I'll explain why here if I can find my piece of paper. Okay, the reason why I had a hard time finding my piece of paper because I'm holding my piece of paper. It's clear paper, you know, the old overhead projector paper. So I have already placed a piece of this overhead projector paper over my fish and traced it out. And here it is, sharing a page with two previous projects. So I have got a 18-inch circle there that I made with a custom handmade compass. You can see it over there, right there. I screwed a couple scrap pieces of 3/4 by 3/4 together and made my own compass, and it works really good. So it's an 18-inch medallion, and when you look at it on the wall, it almost looks like a pizza. It's pretty dang small. So my drawing showed some space from the nose to the circle and the tail and the fins and all that. And when it's blown up, it's just gonna make it too small. So I'm gonna go full size and touch the nose and the fin and the tail to the 18-inch circle. So it's just a little bigger because it just looks really small. This is what the guy wanted. He saw that one there. I've got it at the local lumber yard, and that's the size. It's probably, I don't know, 52 inches wide. I think it's like, I don't know, it's a little over 4 feet wide. And that's in the lumber yard, and that's about I told him, he asked me, and I said, you know, well, that's probably a $6,000 piece, which I was probably lowballing myself. Because when I did it for the lumber yard, I about gave it to him because it's advertising. Here in the small town, that's where everybody goes for their construction needs. So anyways, he shied on the $6,000 and said, well, make me something smaller. So he gave me this design, and this is it, 18 inches. We agreed on $800. I'm gonna cut it for $800, put it on mesh, and hand it to another installer in town, and he's gonna install it. So for me, all in all, it's probably, I don't know, an 8-10 hour project. So I don't know, I feel like I'm doing okay on it. I could have probably got a little more out of it, but whatever. So I'll show you the color scheme and all that a little later. I'd like to take and find a dull Sharpie, one that's not quite so fine. And this one right here. So when I go to trace this out, I'm gonna put a nice fat line on there. And I'll explain why. I know that's not super fat. They make Sharpies fatter than that, which I thought I had one over there, and I didn't. But I'm gonna continue to trace this out and not bore you guys on this video. And this line that I'm tracing ultimately is gonna be my grout line. So I like to, as wide as I trace it, that's as wide as my grout line is gonna be. So I'm gonna have about an 1/8 inch grout line on this piece. So I'm using a dull Sharpie to achieve that 1/8 inch grout line. So then when I go over this with tracing paper, I will trace to both sides of my line. And then when I cut out my tracing paper, we will leave my grout line. So then when everything gets cut and placed, the grout lines will be there and I won't have to adjust anything in a perfect world. So I'm gonna continue to trace this out, and I will get back with you guys here on the next step after tracing. It'll be labeling and coloring. That's pretty important because as you see here, it's just a bunch of black lines on brown paper and it's really hard to see what it is. So I like to put color on it as I'm labeling it, and we'll go over that phase next. So stay tuned.